always stay ahead of the weather. Depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
First up here at 11, a killer gator is captured right here in Florida with an attack that's really quite shocking. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Deborah Cho. FWC says an 85-year-old woman was actually out on a walk when that alligator attacked. One expert told Fox 35's Connor Hansen that gators could be very aggressive this time of year. Connor, thank you. Messages of hate targeting the Jewish community shared across Volusia County this weekend.
Yeah, and tonight, as police try and figure out who's behind the stunt, they also want them to know that they aren't welcome here. Fox 35's Patrick Perez shows us the latest in the fight over free speech. Patrick. Well, it should be pointed out that incidents like this are nothing new. In fact, there's been a historic rise in anti-Semitic rhetoric and acts over the past few years. This map right behind me is from the Anti-Defamation League, showing the location of all the reported incidents in the last year. Now, the organization says there were just under 2,300 anti-Semitic incidents all across the country. That averages out to just about 6 per day. And as you take a closer look, you can see many of these are clustered in the Northeast and also out along the West Coast. Texas also having quite a few, but when you zoom into Florida, you can see we also have a significant number of incidents here. Jacksonville, one of the biggest circles, the Tampa area, South Florida, and of course right here in Orlando, also reporting several incidents. In fact, there were 187 anti-Semitic incidents in Florida last year, including the 30 right here in Central Florida.
Well, happening right now, we are cranking up the heat. Temperatures this week could match or break several records across Central Florida. We are talking 91 degrees in February. Now, I'm here with Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Gardner. And Brooks, we all know it can get hot and humid, you know, here in Florida. But even people that have lived here their whole life, I'd say, you know, February getting these temperatures kind of unusual.
Right. I mean, you'd have to find somebody that's lived here for more than 61 years.
Sure.
How many people watching have lived here for more than 61 years? If you qualify, that means you were around in 1962 when the last time we hit 90 occurred. Yeah, you got to go way back then, and then before that, 1935. And this week, with this high pressure in control of our weather forecast, we go from night to day, from cool to heat wave. While the rest of the country is dealing with a huge blizzard and massive chill, we're sitting here on the other side of it, on the other side of what's basically a seesaw, catching these really warm temperatures. In fact, my forecast high for Thursday will equal the warmest weather we've ever seen on record in February in Orlando, with a high of 91 degrees. So this is historic. This is historically significant. If we see 90, we'll tie a record set back in 1962. So this is a big deal this week. 66 degrees right now, beautiful weather. I mean, if you're on vacation, you're probably jumping with joy. But our typical high is 76, and this is about the only time of year we get to really enjoy the comfortable temperatures before the reality of Florida kicks in, and it's hot for about 9 months straight, it seems like. 67 right now in St. Cloud, 63 in Ocala. Our weather headlines, and this is what I'll be tracking coming up in your full forecast. Mostly sunny, dry, warm weather, record heat this week, and a high fire danger thanks to a drying landscape. Coming up, we're going to track how long the heat will last, how high it gets, and what this means in the big picture for Florida weather.
Now is the best time to download the Fox 35 Storm Team app. You can check the 7-day forecast just to see how hot it could get throughout the week and when those possibly record-breaking temperatures arrive. All you have to do is switch to the hour-by-hour forecast to see which parts of the day will be the warmest and when things will finally cool off. If you don't have the app, by the way, you can scan the QR code on your screen for a link to download.
We have a news alert right now. Former President Jimmy Carter is choosing to spend his final days at his home in Georgia. His foundation says he is now in hospice care. The residents of his hometown of Plains, Georgia say that they're feeling both sad for and proud of the former president. He and his wife have lived there for their entire lives, except the 4 years when he was in the White House. President Carter turned 98 last October and is the longest living president in the history of our country.
And Governor Ron DeSantis visited 3 other states tonight on a pro-police tour, and many are saying he's gearing up for a presidential run. DeSantis visited New York City and suburbs of Philadelphia and Chicago, the last of which he was greeted by protesters. 3 cities led by Democrats and 3 cities dealing with an increase in violent crime. The governor touted that Florida's crime rate is at a 50-year low, saying it's a big factor for many to move to the Sunshine State.
Contrast that to what we see in some of these other areas, which has had the polar opposite results: high crime, escalating rates, and hemorrhaging their own citizens who are fleeing for greener pastures. What those areas are doing is they are putting woke ideology ahead of public safety. They are pursuing politics at the expense of the well-being of those who wear the uniform.
The governor hinted on Fox and Friends this morning that he will make a decision on a 2024 presidential bid after the legislative session ends in May.
Also, a developing story tonight. The nightlife in downtown Orlando could soon be changing up a bit. Council members first started toying with the idea of closing bars at midnight rather than at the current 2 a.m.
Well, now food vendors are also getting set to have those same times work. Fox 35's Valerie Boyd tells us about a new pilot program that was just approved by council. Coming up next on the News Edge at 11, racing for Rocco.
Yeah, one teen in Florida is honoring her brother's legacy every time that she hits the track. You're going to see how she's taking on one of the world's toughest races in hopes of raising awareness about a disease that took his life.
Plus, they are cold-blooded, up to a foot long, and can run on water. Hear why scientists say this lizard could spell bad news for Florida.
The Fox 35 Care Force, it's our commitment to Central Florida. Helping neighbors in need, honoring local heroes, supporting our cities, towns, and communities to make them a better place. Why do we do this? Because it's the right thing to do. And this is our home, too. The Fox 35 Care Force. Depend on us.
Fox 35 News is brought to you in part by Addition Financial.
All new at 11, a 16-year-old from Sarasota is turning heads at the racetrack, and not just because she's winning, but she's driving with a purpose.
Yeah, she is raising awareness about a disease that took her brother's life. But now her message is going global. Fox 35's Mark Wilson spoke to her about the toughest race of her life about to happen 5,000 miles away. Also, new video tonight. Take a look at this beautiful sunset over Orange County, and there it's orange. Unfortunately, the same sun that created that picturesque scene will soon spark a complaint or two around Central Florida, and you can hear it already. It's too hot. Brooks Garner joins us right now.
And Brooks, we're talking like record-breaking heat. We've been saying it all weekend and week long.
Yes, that is right. It could be the hottest weather we've recorded in Orlando's recorded history, going back to 1892. That happens on Thursday with 90s. First off, your wake-up weather tomorrow morning. It'll be a touch cool early in the morning. Extra layer will do you. 62 degrees at 7 o'clock, then warming up to 7 by 9. Tomorrow, high temperatures reaching the mid-80s. Yes, we've got some hot weather ahead. It's going to paint the sky red, that's for sure. 66 Daytona Beach right now, 63 degrees in Claremont. So we are looking at a overnight of mild conditions leading to the hot day tomorrow. And if you're working the third shift or working overnight tonight, temperatures are going to stay about where they are right now. We're sitting at about 65 in many locations. We make it down to 62 and then warming up very quickly by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Ultimately, beautiful day tomorrow in the Villages. 80 at noon, a high temp of 85 at about 3 o'clock, and then 82 by 5. Just a perfect day there. By the way, on Thursday in the afternoon, we've got a launch, speaking of the coast, and this is a 95% chance for a go weather-wise. It launches at 1:37 p.m. It's a Falcon 9 bringing up some Starlink satellites. A new version of Starlink satellites, by the way, bigger ones, bigger bandwidth. That said, well, we're talking about heat. Out west, they're talking about blizzards. Our Fox Weather Alert System is going off right now with warnings of winter storms from Minneapolis all the way southward through the mountains of Southern California with blizzard warnings in places like Wyoming. So winter is not far, it's just not here. Overnight, we'll see a low of 60 degrees in Sanford, 62 Orlando. Here's the forecast, and it features 5 days out of 7 of record-breaking heat for each day, and Thursday would be the record for February if we do indeed see 91. That's my forecast. No rain in the forecast. Easy to remember. From Wednesday on, highs around 90 degrees. More typical of June, certainly, than the end of February. All right, Deborah, John, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Brooks. Coming up next, it's known as the Jesus lizard, and it could be our next big invasive species. You'll see why scientists want you to file a report if you see any of these creatures, and what about that unusual name? Plus, we know that Orlando is gorgeous, but is it clean? A new list is now out showing the cleanest and the dirtiest cities in America, and you'll see where we stack up straight ahead.
Always stay ahead of the weather. Depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
Right now on the News Edge at 11, battling a basilis. It's known as the Jesus lizard.
Yeah, this is a non-native lizard that's gaining ground across South and Central Florida. Fox 35's Lloyd Sowers tells us about the potential risks this lizard could bring.
Well, President Joe Biden is in Poland tonight, but not before making an unexpected stop to visit Ukraine.
Yeah, the president spent 5 hours in Kyiv meeting with Ukraine's president. The leaders visited a memorial to fallen Ukrainian soldiers. A year of intense fighting has left thousands of troops and civilians dead.
1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands. The Americans stand with you, and the world stands with you.
The president is now in Warsaw, where he will mark the 1 year anniversary of the Ukrainian invasion.
Just ahead, new details in Alec Baldwin's case. Here the changes made to his charges and what that means for his sentence if he's found guilty.
Hi, I'm Dr. Walter Hain, a breast surgeon at Advent Health, where we are committed to keeping you healthy.
Every week, an Advent Health physician answers important questions on the latest health topics. Watch Healthy Living House Calls.
Tune in Monday at 8 a.m. during Good Day Orlando.
We are Fox 35. You can depend on us.
I'm Dr. Benjamin Lindblom, orthopedic surgeon at Advent Health, where we are committed to keeping you healthy.
Every week, an Advent Health physician answers important questions on the latest health topics. Watch Healthy Living House Calls.
Tune in Monday at 8 a.m. during Good Day Orlando.
Always stay ahead of the weather. Depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
New details tonight. Prosecutors are downgrading involuntary manslaughter charges against Alec Baldwin in the Rust movie cast. Now, the movie reduces possible prison time for him. He was holding the gun that discharged on set, killing a cinematographer. Baldwin's legal team argued a specific firearm statute in New Mexico doesn't apply because it took effect after the shooting. If convicted, Baldwin faces a maximum of 18 months in prison. And across Florida tonight, a car loses control and crashes right in front of a church.
Yeah, this happened over the weekend up in the Panhandle area. You can see the car miss the turn, flip, and then run right into the building up there in Crestview. The driver was arrested for DUI. His 3 passengers all went to the hospital, but no word on their conditions yet. Police shared this video to remind other drivers to never drink and drive.
And this is all that's left after a dramatic ocean rescue. The Coast Guard says crew members pulled 3 people from the water after their boat capsized. It happened near Key West early Saturday morning. 1 person went to the hospital because they had a cut on their head. Crews do not know what caused that boat, though, to overturn.
And it's a list that no city wants to be on. A new report shows the country's dirtiest cities, and Orlando lands in the top 25. The lawn care company called Lawn Starter looked at more than 150 of the biggest cities in the country. Orlando comes in at 24 for the dirtiest cities. The top spot went to Houston. The company says Virginia Beach was the cleanest on the list. Now, they also scored high marks in air quality and low greenhouse gas emissions. Now, it should be pointed out, the bigger the city, the dirtier oftentimes, because more pollution, more trash, and that's kind of these lists sometimes, though. Our city's not dirty.
Orlando's
no
beautiful.
Question. Yeah, it is.
There you go. Thanks for joining us on the News Edge at 11.
And the news continues on fox35orlando.com and on Good Day Orlando starting at 4 a.m. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.